Hello everyone, welcome back to another episode of WSO2 API Manager. So we have an interesting topic to discuss today. It's about the AI capabilities of WSO2 API Manager product. Before I go into the topic at hand today, let me take you through this web page. If you go to wso2.com/AI, we have a landing page which explain the WSO2's work going on around AI and what kind of work we do around AI and how we as an organization, as a middleware organization, how we are planning to address this AI within our portfolio. So as you can see, we try to address AI in two different streams. Number one, code for AI, basically helping enterprises to build enterprise grade AI applications like agentic application and things like that. And the other area is basically the other stream is AI for code. I think this is the most popular or commonly used stream where everyone leverage AI, Gen AI, to improve their day-to-day development or day-to-day work. So AI for code basically help engineers and empower them to improve their development lifecycle related activities. So these are the two main streams. WSO2 is heavily investing in the area of AI. So I encourage you to go through this page, understand the existing work we have done and what kind of work we are doing at the moment, what to expect in the future. So this is where to get started if you're interested, right? So let's move on to the topic we are going to discuss today. So today I'm going to explain this capability of designing, creating APIs with the help of AI, right? So the feature I'm going to demonstrate today is available from the WSO2 API Manager version 4.5 onward, which is the latest version as of today, and we will have version 4.6 coming in few weeks. We call this feature as an experimental feature. So if you go through this documentation link, you see this is defined as an experimental feature. The reason behind that is, AI is changing every day, and whatever the features or the experience you see today may not be same tomorrow, may not be the same with the next version. So it's a fast moving industry, fast moving tech vertical. So we also need to keep the same pace. So that's why we don't call this as a setting stone feature. We call it as experimental feature. So we keep on improving as the industry evolve, right? So let me explain the use of this capability, right? It's not there because everyone talks about AI and we are trying to address the AI hype. No, that's not the case. So let me explain how we can leverage this, right? So if you go to publisher portal, so publish, as you already know, is the web interface used by API creators, API designers, or API developers in your organization, right? So how this exercise work or how this exercise starts, either you have a Swagger file or a WSTL file or a STL file, and then you point to the WSTL or Swagger or STL file and you start creating the API, right? And as you can see, if you are new to WSO2 API Manager, WSO2 API Manager is one of the very few vendors providing the capability of working with all the different kind of endpoints. And as you can see, it can be REST, SOAP, GraphQL, streaming, and AI and LLM APIs, which I will talk about this in a future video. So you don't have to rely on multiple vendor solutions. So it's a single solution, single distribution, where you can cater to all the different kind of endpoints that you are using in your organization. So if you see, if when you're creating a REST API, you have the option of importing a Swagger or pointing to a Swagger and then get started. Or else if you have a WSO2, then you can get started with this SOAP service, right? And if you have an SDL file, then you can point to that and you can get started creating this GraphQL API, right? And in case if you don't have a Swagger or WSO2 or SDL file, then you will have to start designing, creating your APIs from the scratch, right? You need to say start from the scratch, give it a name, context, version, and then hit create, and then you need to go to resources tab, right? Let me show you using an existing API. So you need to go to resources tab and then you need to create the resources manually, right? That takes a bit of a time. So in order to improve the experience and productivity of that exercise, right? So when you don't have a Swagger, when you don't have a SDL or WSO2 file, when you have to create an API from the scratch, now actually you can get started with this AI option, this AI assistant, which will save a lot of time for you, right? So let me show you how it works, and then I will show you the steps required to configure this, because this doesn't work out of the box. There is a bit of a configuration you need to do. We'll talk about that next. So let me show you first how to use this, right? So you can say create API with AI, and then these are few examples to showcase the power of this feature. All what you need to do is explain your requirement in plain English, and then the AI assistant, API design assistant, will give you the boilerplate for you, right? And then you can keep improving by using the conversational mode, right? So let me try one of the examples first. Create an API for a banking transaction. Let's try it. So now this is all what I gave, right? It's a simple statement in plain English. So you will get all the basic operations we typically implement for a banking related API in a moment, right? And after that, what you can do is you can create an API. For example, you see there are operations to work with accounts, transactions, customers, loans, cards, right? And again, trust me, it's not guaranteed to get the same operations when you try this. As you already know, it's not guaranteed to provide the same output every time, right? It may vary from user to user, and it will vary depending on your prompt, right? So now that I have a boilerplate for a banking transaction related API, I can create an API, right? So let me also show you one more example. So now I'm trying to create a GraphQL API. I will say create a GraphQL API to query patients data. So one important thing to note here is one key difference is that you will not get a Swagger UI here because you're not using a Swagger, right? I'm creating a GraphQL API. So let's try another one. Create an API for a live sports course streaming API. Once again, you will not get a Swagger UI, right? You will get the API definition. So let me also try my own prompt. Create an API for a student management application, including operations such as managing their courses. Let's see what we get. It will take a bit of a time analyzing my prompt, and also see, this is interesting, right? I never mentioned I want a REST API. It says REST API is suitable for your student management application, right? So it will basically able to recommend the kind of API or endpoint type, right? API type. So I have operations like get all the students, update the student, get courses, update the courses, and also do the enrollments, enroll students for a course, right? It makes sense, right? And then retrieve courses for a specific student by giving the student ID, delete student. Wow, I get all these operations, right, created for me. Now I can create an API. Are you ready to create API? And go to the creation wizard, say yes. Now it will take me through the standard wizard of creating an API, right? So I'm just going to hit create to complete the exercise, and from here, I think you're already familiar. You can do all the portal configuration, API configuration, deploy, and try out, and then go to the lifecycle management page, and then you can publish the API, right? So as you can see, we got an API to deal with student management related operations very quickly, and as you already know, so you can now go to the resources tab, and you can do further modifications, add your own operations, or change the existing ones. So you don't have to start from the scratch. That's the whole point of this assistant AI capability. So you can get the boilerplate generated for you, and you will have to go and do whatever the modifications on top of that, right? And let me also show you another capability, since I want to talk about the AI related features in the product. And when I say AI features, especially AI for code, right? Meaning the features available to improve your day-to-day activities, right? So this is for API creators, designers, right? API developers. So this is available in the publisher. And when you go to developer portal, so developer portal is basically a web interface provided for consumers, right? Application developers. So they come to developer portal, they go through all the existing APIs. So let me log in. Right, so they go through all the published APIs, read their documentation, and they get a test token, and they can test it, right? So this is basically kind of a self-service portal for application developers, right? Third-party app developers. The next feature I'm going to show you is basically chat available in this developer portal, right? So let's take an example. Let's say we have hundreds of APIs published, and let's say you have 300 to 400 APIs published in your API manager, and you can't fit all of them here, right? So of course there are ways that you can work with situations, work in situations where you have a lot of APIs. So you can bring in tags, you can bring in categories, and then you can filter, right? And you also have this search capability. You can provide some search criteria, and you can search. On top of that, we also have a chat assistant. We call it API Marketplace Assistant. This is again an experimental capability, experimental feature. So you can give your requirement. You can say what kind of API you are looking for, right? And then you can ask him to suggest based on the available APIs, right? For example, I can say I am looking for an API that can validate phone numbers, right? So there may be like 10 to 20 APIs, right, coming from different providers. Okay, I'm not aware of any API for validating phone numbers. Okay, let's rephrase it. Okay. Okay, let's try out. Okay, once again, it says I'm not aware of any API for verifying phone numbers. So there are a few prerequisites as well for this to work. Again, as I said, there are some steps to enable these features. So you need to make sure you enable these features right after the installation or configuration, or right after the deployment. Let's say I have published these two APIs, and then after that I go and configure it. This assistant may not know anything about the API, right? So then you need to synchronize the existing API informations with your database, right? With the index, because this assistant is going and reading an index, right? And all the new APIs you publish after configuring this will be available for this capability. Let me give one more try. So there is one API. So I say list APIs related to pizza management. Then it says I recommend the Pizza Shack API, which is a RESTful API for Pizza Shack online pizza delivery store, right? So I got one suggestion. So in case of this phone verify, so what you can do is you can try to change this API, make some modification and republish it. So once you republish it, it will be indexed again, and the assistant will be able to read this API information, right? So this is a very useful feature when you have lots of APIs, and so it's not taking me to the right page for some reason, right? So this feature is very useful when you have lots of APIs that you can't fit into a single screen, and you can give your requirement, and you can identify the available APIs, available options to meet your requirement, right? So that's the second feature I wanted to show you. So let me now show you how all these things can be configured. So as I explained, these features won't work out of the box, right? So there is a bit of a configuration you need to do. So if you go through this documentation, so here you see you need to sign into an AI subscription, right? That is a requirement. How you do that? You need to go to this URL, and it says ai-subscriptions.wso2.com. So what you need to do is, first you need to create an account, right? I have already created an account. If not, you need to register. Basically, you need to register. When you register, you need to give a organization name, give your email address and a password, and then it will send you a link to activate your organization. Once you do that, then you can create subscriptions, right? So depending on the products. So I have created a subscription for WSO2 API Manager 4.5. So currently we do have support for WSO2 Identity Server and WSO2 API Manager both. So you can give an application name, basically a subscription name. So based on that, it will generate a token. So this token needs to be configured over here, right, in your toml file, right? So in your deployment toml file, you need to go for this section, find the apm.ai section, say enable true, put the endpoint, and put the key over here that you generated, and after that everything will work, right? So you need to basically restart the API manager, and then you will be able to use this capability, right? So I hope you will try this out, and also there's a one more feature that I wanted to show you, which is available in API developer portal. It's called API chat, right? So when you want to try out an API, we used to have this tryout console earlier, right? Apart from this, we do have a API chat option as well, right? It says your API is now equipped with an intelligent agent, and so you need to get a key, and once you get a key, you will get a bunch of options saying invoke all resources of the API, invoke a single resource of the API, right? So it's not like going through this console and executing one by one, right? So you can basically get some friendly experience over here, right? And you will get the response in this page. And once again, it's an experimental feature. I encourage you to try this out. So this is how we improve the day-to-day productivity of API creators, designers, API developers, and application developers by bringing AI into the WSO2 API Manager platform. I encourage you to try this out, including this, how to create an API using AI design assistant, and also how to test your API using API chat, and also how to use the API marketplace assistant to identify the APIs depending on your requirement. So once you do this configuration, all the AI related features will continue to work. So you need to do it only once. So I hope you will try this out and see the value of the AI capabilities in WSO2 API Manager. Thank you very much.